Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, everybody, and another beautiful day to every parent out there, and welcome to another exciting, intriguing, scintillating episode of A Mother's Body with me, More. Your, I don't even know what adjective to use to qualify myself.
Yeah, I can say yours truly, Barbs. I'm here.
Yours truly, yes,
Yeah.
yours truly, LFA,
With
and
a new hairdo.
I know, right? And yours one and only true Bab.
Mm.
Bab,
Hi.
welcome again. Last month, we talked about family planning. Just in case
Yeah.
you miss it, please go
Yeah.
to our YouTube page, A Mother's Burden, and go to Aaron's Place on Facebook and just to catch up with it. It was
Hmm.
exciting. It was mind blowing. I learned
Yeah.
a lot of things because I have teenagers, a teenager and a young a young child that's just trying to catch up. So we really need to go and listen to that. And
Yes, please do if you've missed it.
today I am so excited, and you know why? Because at church today I discussed this topic with. I just asked a question from some of the youth,
Mm.
and their answers were intriguing and exciting. So today, guess what? We will be talking about tattoos and body piercing. So we're talking about the tattoos as parents
Mhm.
and knowing where we came from in Africa. When you see somebody with tattoo all over, you are like, oh my God. The Yorubas will say, ah, omo omo yen," meaning that child is a bad child, you know. And then you're piercing your ears, your nose, are like, okay, like they may even insinuate that you're a prostitute. So today we are talking on a topic that is no longer new, if I can say that,
Mm.
right? Babs?
Yeah, of
Everybody
course
is
not.
wearing tattoo and piercing their ears and all of
Mm.
that. So, Bab, I'm gonna drop it down right here and take over.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know about taking over, but I think this is why this show is a show full of audience. But it is a hot topic about the body piercing, and I believe going back to going back home as Africans, when our parents or our elderly refuse, or when they saw you and you were immediately, your presence exudes a certain type of image if you have piercings or if you had tattoos. I think when I was growing up, it wasn't as common as it is now. And I can only believe that the foundation of it was in the fact that your body is deemed as the temple of God. And
Yes.
therefore, by putting a tattoo on it, you are, you're defaming the body, or you are putting on it what shouldn't be. So if that is the perception, is that what we still believe? That's the question we have to ask. We are also correlating it to the image that we present as young people, as young women, as young boys, as families. What is the image we present? I mean, sometimes there was a period of time where if a young lady wore a short skirt, the immediate presumption is you're asking for a man to abuse you.
Even a
That,
pant.
yeah. So that through time have changed, laws have changed, practices have been improved to support based on the person having the freedom and the independence to do what at the time they believe to be. So your daughter's hemline or how tight your son's trouser is it a debate that you have every day with them? Or you allow them to wear anything they want. So, if that's what we do, then where do we sit on tattoos and multiplicity of piercings on our body? So, these are some of the reasons why we say it's a mother's burden. So, we don't have it's not a one view. It'd be nice to have a discussion and see what other people think. So,
Yeah.
those of you watching, let us know your views.
Yeah. Send in
Yeah,
questions, comments, and
yeah.
your comments will be displayed on
Yeah.
screen, and we will read them. And if there are any questions, you can send them in. And of course, we'll read the questions and we'll try to answer them as much as we can. Again, I always say this: we are not experts, we are mothers.
Exactly.
And we fly the plane as we're building it. And
Hmm.
actually, I don't call it plane anymore. I think I start calling it jet. We're
Yeah.
flying this turbojet as we are building it. And it's interesting because at church this afternoon, I had to just, try to get ideas from some Daniela Baido. Thank you so much. Interesting topic today. Yes, it is interesting. It is really interesting. I tried to rub their mind just to know where they are with that
Yeah.
topic. And I'm like, guys, okay, what do you think about tattoo? What do you think about body piercing? And it's interesting because my pastor's son was one of the guys I asked. And he was like, well, I think it depends. Actually, both of them said, I think it depends on the mindset.
Certainly does.
And I said, okay, where does, in the Bible, it says that we should not have any form of mark on our body.
Hmm.
So where do we place that? Should we say that that was in the old days and it doesn't pertain now? You know, And they were like, well, if we're saying that, then we should be saying we shouldn't be eating crawfish, we shouldn't be eating hog, we shouldn't be eating this, that. And I said, okay. I said, I understand your perspective. We try to go into the Bible stuff.
Hmm.
And I told them something because it's something I've been thinking about since we decided we're going to talk on that topic. And my take was, if my daughter comes home, and of course she told me that she wants to color her hair, and honestly, I don't have an issue with that. I just told her you would do that when you are in high school or, maybe
Hmm.
later on. And I just asked myself, if my son comes home and my daughter comes home and say, we want to have a tattoo, or my son says, I want to pierce my ears,
Hmm.
what will I do?
Sometimes the question is, why should that cause you so much anxiety to want to know what to do? I think, yes, like you rightly says, it says in Leviticus 19 that do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord. Okay. Now, do you read the whole chapter of Leviticus 19 or the
No,
chapter after, the chapter before, to
before.
know where God was giving these instructions from?
Mm,
Now, if you like the way what you've just said is that it's like a reaction to what we've heard. So if my child says that and it gives me that reaction, my first question to myself, why am I anxious about it? What is it that if my child has a tattoo or a double piercing is going to be so much that I'm getting anxiety about? The issue is we also live in the day where we say this is, Christ-like and the Christianity of what Christ brought to us. His God looks in your heart. Where does that also come from? Is it our presentation? It says man looks to the outward, but God looks to the
it's to the
inward.
inward.
Okay. So am I therefore saying if a person has tattoo, then that means that they're gone for, or they had the tattoo before they became a Christian? If they don't laser it off, we no longer want them around.
Mm,
Or as mothers, if my child wants to do a tattoo and they've actually come to tell me before they do it, what sort of conversation should I be having with them? And I think that is more important than the outcome of the person putting the tattoo on their body or double piercing. Because, for instance, now I sit there and I think, actually, my ear pierced that I've had for the odd 50 years, it looks big. Maybe I need to do a double so that I can wear a certain styles of earrings. Like you said that, like they said to you at church today, it depends on the reasons why you're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think,
Hmm.
of course, mothers out there listening would agree, would kind of feel the same. Some mothers, don't let me
Yeah.
say all mothers, will feel the same anxiety as I am. And I think I am at a place where I have to start. I'm actually distancing myself from all of those cultural, inappropriate doings.
Socialization.
Yes, yes, in that way,
Yeah.
and because I remember when I was actually during my NYSC, I actually got another pierce. I have two double piercing,
Yeah.
and it's even blocked, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking of going to reopen it because I liked it. That is my way of defining myself. It's not for fashion. It's not because I want to make a statement to somebody. It
Yeah.
is making a statement with me. And that takes me
And
back to what
you
this
know,
woman said.
yeah. And it's also saying, but what I'm saying, I'm not disagreeing with your anxieties, because we are also not forgetting that when I'm a young person, I'm going to look for work. It's a particular position that I'm looking for. How I present myself matters. Well, how a person looks at me and perceives me, or look at the way I'm walking. That as human, we judge anyway.
Yes,
If
we
I'm sat
do.
there looking for you to come in for an interview, you walk in with, all your ears pierced over to here, and when you roll your sleeve up, or as a young lady with no sleeve up, I see tattoos all over the body. I may not judge you, but I will think of
That
how
that
does it that
actually is going to impact my opinion and decision. And these are unconscious
okay.
biases.
Yeah. So this is why, as parents, if my child wants to do tattoo, I mean, okay, where are you gonna put it? Why do you need to put it? What is it for?
Exactly. Hmm.
Yeah, it's actually having the conversation, instead of, as soon as my child raises their, so not in this house, over my dead body.
Like a typical African
Yes,
mother
we
would
don't
do.
have the conversations. And I think I remember, I've got three daughters, as I say, and two of them have tattoos. They didn't tell me when they did it. They did it, and in a family conversation, just dropped it in. Now, one just said, I have a tattoo, and hopefully I didn't hear, because there's five of us in the conversation. So, and they all went quiet because they didn't get any reaction from mom. And then I still realized, what have I missed? And then they said, and then one of them said, "Oh, that was quiet. You've just snuck it in, So it wasn't the place to have an argument about it,
Mm,
but that was my first encounter of a
mm.
child of mine having. I didn't react negatively. I thought, okay, that's done. It's already there. That wasn't a conversation that was had. But my point was, okay, why did you do it? What is it? And then, it turns out it's an emoji. One of the what are they called? It's a representation of the her culture as a Ghanaian. Okay,
Mm,
so she's put it on, and my middle daughter did one on her calf.
mm,
And what did she do? Her first one was a compass, because she's one that wants to travel the world.
mm,
Okay, and that was when she had left home and moved to another country. So, like the girl at church said today, is a thought with which you're doing it.
mm,
What is it that you're putting on the body? I'm not saying necessarily a brilliant thing to get up and go and do and cover yourself full of tattoo. You will be judged. You will be called to attention to it depending on what it is that you're doing. If you're looking for, because somebody needs to recruit you, employ you. If you come fully peers and fully, but they also have a corporate image, and thinking, okay, how do you fit into this image? You know, in the old days, if you're all tattooed and pierced everywhere, you're rough and ready. So, do I want a person of this image in front of my company? Or, as it is now, are we in a place where we have got a permissible society,
mm.
and that is what's allowing everybody to do it without really thinking about the consequence. And I still, as a mother, I would want to be a part of that conversation before you do it. Because once you've done it, yes, the earring, the ear piercing may seal, but a tattoo you can't take back.
Mm.
So, like everything that you do, and I think as mothers, we want to bring our children up in a way that they have thought processes about what they're doing.
What they're doing.
They actually analyze it, understand it, see the benefits, weigh the benefits against the negatives. And if in fact that is going to help you, or it justifies why you're going to do it. The Lord says, I have no business judging. I need to bring you up as a child in the way you should grow. That, to me, what it says in the Bible, you need to keep hearing the word of God, and that is why you're going to say. So, if the Bible says, don't cut yourself, don't put piercing on yourself, and you're defying it, what is the conversation you're having with God about it?
And I
So,
am
I think,
going to read
yeah,
Shandy G. Kids TV's comments. She
yeah,
says, I believe the Bible is the standard. It's expedient to point them back to the standard. That's the
yes.
Bible in bracket.
Yeah.
And then have the conversation again after some time of understanding. And
Yeah,
honestly, this is
that's exactly it.
yeah, because I remember at church this morning during Sunday school, um, one of the pastors was talking and said sometimes my children bring up issue, and then I point them to the Bible, and they say no, Daddy, don't talk about the Bible. And I tell them, unfortunately,
That is where
that
my
is the
information is.
standard. That's where I get my information from, and that honestly was my I didn't even go deep with the guys that I discussed with today, but I just like it depends on the mindset.
Mhm.
Agree. But why would you want to? Because the way I see it personally, and this is my personal opinion,
Yeah,
this body is sacred. It is
yeah,
my body. I have to guard it jealously. Just like some episodes we did when we were talking about sex.
yeah.
This is this is just too awesome to be distorted. As a mother, you were pregnant. Pregnancy distorted it in a positive way. And then if you had C-section, another distortion in a positive way. And then if you have scars on your, we have enough scars on our body to, display as
And
tattoo.
do they look at
Mhm.
tattoos as scars? This is the
That's
thing.
another
Yeah,
thing.
because once they've done it, it's just there. Maybe if a person didn't do it properly, the picture over time distorts. But
Yes.
is it a scar? And I think the idea is, okay, where am I doing it? Why do I want it? Because this is permanent. If I'm going to put something permanent on my body, have I looked at it properly? Today, the same thing with church when we're discussing things about being a studious young person. If you're being studious, and I was saying to them, one of the words that's a synonymous with studious that I like is
Mm,
actually you know, being thoughtful and actually really analyzing things and doing things intentionally.
intentionally. Mhm.
Don't accidentally get tattooed because you went out with your friend and a friend said, "Oh, come on, let's go." Which just do. Wouldn't it be nice to just
Being
have a tattoo?
impulsive.
And then you do it. If you've done it in and with compulsion or impulsive behavior, then you yourself have, you're judging yourself. However, I would like you to think like everything in the Bible that we teach, that as we're teaching you, understand it, absorb it, apply it in life. So, what is it that is making you want to do? What is it for? And what is the
Yeah.
excitement
What
with
is
it?
it for?
And why do
Yeah.
you want to? And for me, I think I haven't stood against any of my children who have had it
No,
because
it's too late
when you
because you
see
did it
them,
before they showed you.
well, you can have a laser removal.
Well, is it still going to be the same?
Yes, it will be because if you did it with impulsive and then you've realized actually, if I thought about it, I wouldn't have done it. You spend your life trying to see how you can remove it. That is a burden enough for you as a young person. So for me, it's the same way when we were talking about, having sex. the idea, the principle is we've got some principles and seeds that we've sown into you as a child of God.
Yeah.
And I'm praying that those are the principles that flourish in your decision making. And at the same time, it also doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. So if you did it and you weren't really sure why you did it, what stops you analyzing on how you can get rid of it? Or it will become a burdensome issue for you. So I still come to this stage of actually, I want to support my child, your child, to be mature in our decision making. And that because some of these things, like I said to you, my daughters did it before I knew. Yeah. Is it because, and the way it was presented to me was snacked in. So therefore, already I know they already knew my answer before they did it. And they didn't do it as minors. They did it because they're in their 20s. They're mature women.
And so they
Then
knew full
yes.
well what they were
So they know
doing.
full well what they're doing. It still didn't stop me asking the questions of what
Wow.
is it have you done? What is, what is it? What's the image? What is it for?
Hmm.
And for me, there was some of them that actually made me proud that my child want to see that wherever I am, I want to be represented as a Ghanaian girl and not just a child, a diasporan child born in the UK,
It's
and
funny
not and losing
you
my heritage. So yeah,
it's funny you mentioned that. I know we're still going to touch on the topic of the value it's adding to us when we go out there looking for a job and how we are being perceived when we have
yeah,
those tattoos and piercing on us. But do you know, in my culture, in the Yoruba culture, it is like a fashion statement in those days. Like if you
hmm
go to Nigeria, some part of Nigeria, and they have like tribal
yeah,
marks,
yeah,
and those are tattoos, whether we like
yeah,
it or not.
yeah. It is.
Yeah, and some people will write their names on their
Mm-hmm.
body,
Yeah,
drop picture of their
yeah,
compound,
yeah,
like your daughter did. Like, I want
yeah,
it to be like an heritage. Like when
yeah,
you see that on me, I'm a
yeah,
Ghanaian. And
yeah,
that is the way we had it in our culture too, in the
yeah,
Yorubas. I don't know about the other parts, some other parts of Nigeria,
yeah.
but I know that it was a fashion statement then.
Mm-hmm.
But when we compare then and now, is it still a fashion statement? Is it in rebellion? Is it to pass a message? Like, what is the intent? You know,
And I think that is what every parent has a duty to have a discussion with their child who's done it or who's going to do it about. See their thought processes around it, and between the two of you, work on it. Because for me, um, the strict abstention of actually always saying the Bible says you can't, so you're not doing it. Let's do the exegesis of the Bible. Read the chapter before the chapter after. Why did that sentence come in? What was it that the people of Israel at the time, in the Leviticus time, were doing that God saying, don't put anything on your body? So if I'm having a discussion with my child and knowing that this is their thinking, they're explaining to me, they have taken the time to actually want to engage me about what they've done or they're going to do. I pray and commit them into God's hands and say, you know, this person is my child that you said to me. I have a responsibility because I'll be asked to account for
to
how they're
counsel.
behaving, and therefore this is what they're going to do. Apart from tying them down and putting them, hiding them so that they can't get out to do what it is that they want to do, I need to be able to trust God to
Yeah,
say that the seed that is in them, if whatever decision they are going to make is going to put them in a negative space, may the Lord Jehovah, the Holy Spirit, remind them that actually, do you really need to do this? God says there's life and there's death. God didn't say to us, even us, that, listen, you have to come to me. We have choices. And all of that is in the Bible. So if God gives us choice, why is it that we think my child doesn't have a choice? Yeah, they might make a mistake and realize actually when I went to apply for the job, they looked at that the number of earrings I had in my ear, and I could tell that lady was just judging me, even though she didn't say, and then say, "We don't call us, we'll call you." Everything, every action has a reaction, a responsibility, and a consequence.
Hmm.
So I want to do it because I want to. It's not a good enough reason.
It's
I would like
not.
to think that you're doing it because you're mature. You're doing it because you have a reason. And in the modern day of creative industry, also, who is that person that is doing it? You
Yeah,
know,
but then we have to put into consideration. I honestly, I wouldn't say I am for or I am against
against,
it.
no.
I can't say that because it's not for me. And like I said again,
I ain't got
maybe
some.
maybe I'm just having the anxiety. And when you have young children, it's like, okay, you have to always expect the unexpected. It's like when my daughter and I have to make a decision whether or not she has Instagram or not, whether
Yeah.
or not she goes on YouTube or not. And
Hmm.
my 9-year-old telling me, I don't want to be on kids' YouTube. I
Yeah.
want to
No,
watch
adults.
the regular YouTube because they have more content than what the kid has. And I am pulling my hair like,
Yeah.
you guys are still little. But I've come to realize something. There are a lot of battles parents will not win
Yeah.
if you don't
I-
sit down with
mm.
them to process with them, know their why, and try to make them understand what the standard are and the guideline and what's if you do this and does it. Anyway, before we continue, if you're just joining us, welcome to A Mother's Body with me and Bab. And if you've
Hello.
not watched the last episode, please go on Aaron's Place and talk with Ajuni YouTube channel, A Mother's Body, and watch the last episode and previous ones.
Yeah,
And hey, if you're single again, join our podcast community. We have
that's
a
right.
Single
Yeah.
Again Facebook page. Join our community. We want you to be part of this. We discuss anything and everything about being
Yeah.
single again, the process, the journey, and the life after and before and everything. So please join us. Subscribe to all of our channels, like and share. So
Yeah.
coming back to tattoos and piercing, we're talking about creativity of this modern age. Like everybody does it, almost everybody does it. But then you have to ask
No,
yourself,
no.
I said almost, yeah, not
Yeah.
everybody, almost. Like, ask yourself, where do I want to see myself in the next few years?
Hmm.
How would this relate in the industry that I'm going to be working in? I cannot say I want to practice as a lawyer and then I have tattoo all over my body. And then I'm
Why
going to the
not?
court.
Why not?
And then I'm rolling up my sleeve and the judge is seeing all of these things on me, you know? And then or even I'm piercing all of my ears and I have earrings all on my ears. And then I'm going before the judge and my hair is up and the judge is looking at me like, okay, are you coming to my court like this? You know, so I think it has to do with oh, I agree with you, Bob. What is the why?
Yeah. And I think we shouldn't lose the fact that as a parent, you have the authority to say no, you're not
Yes.
allowed. You're not
Yeah.
there yet. And make that decision because at the end of the day, you're so responsible for the child until they become an adult. You're so responsible. And yes, images are very, very important. So when I say, in the creative industry, like the media, the TV, and
Mhm.
those sort of areas, or even designing, where do you sit? So it's actually something that you're doing that is permanent. What I'm saying is, if as a young person you're doing something to your body, you're adding something to your body that is permanent, you need to look at who is going to see it.
Mm.
What would they react? Well, how would they react when they see it? What is the outcome that I'm looking or I'm expecting for them to give me? Or am I going to spend the next 15 years just having to explain myself why I have these marks? I mean, sometimes the tattoo can be somebody doing just one little small picture somewhere.
Mhm.
that they have the desire to. They know why. So I know I like your example about being a lawyer and then being fully tattooed. At the end of the day, it's the same as we as Christians. The Lord looks on the inside and not the outwards. If you're going to the court of law in the UK, you're supposed to be formally dressed.
Yes.
The formal dressing means you're fully clothed. You have a jacket, you have a trouser, you have a shirt. So the chances of your tattoos being facial presentation sometimes is not totally out there. And also, you could be sat there as the lawyer with your full tattoos or maybe some piercings in your nose and in your face. The judge will not throw you out because it's your words or your presentation that they are interested in. If we had this conversation maybe 10, 15 years ago, for me, it would be a different. Now we are in a
Absolutely.
space where, whether we like it or not, we are being forced, or we are being, socialized into accepting things that we would naturally find repulsive or rebel
Mm.
against. So, in that space, we bring this tattoo and piercing into the modern day and say, I so ask you to think, why do you want it?
Mm.
Why is it, why you still doing it? And what is it? What do you expect it to look like in the next few years? Are you going to be in a position where, especially sometimes when you do a tattoo and as a young adult, you go and put your boyfriend's name on your bum. If they don't marry you, you know,
And there have been
eh,
instances like that, that they
there's
even be
loads of
saying
instances like
the
that.
girls, yeah, the girls are like, I didn't know what I was doing when I did this,
Yeah.
you
But
know.
you've done it, and the
Mm.
name on there says Paul on your arm. Your current husband or boyfriend, well, whose name is
It's
Steve,
for, yeah.
always has to look at Paul. And then remember, why do you have Paul there and not Steve? And now, or are you now going to add Steve to it? So that's what we're saying. Some of these actions have a reaction and a consequence. So it's not so much as what you've done and why you've done it. Why do you need it? What is your thought process? What is your reasoning behind it? And what are you looking for? Me, I don't want you to do anything that is not a benefit to your
Yeah.
life. So this piercing, this tattoo, how does it improve your image? How does it?
What is the main reason for you to do it? And just like
Yeah.
you said, how do I want people to perceive me? What do I want them to think when they see me? And I'm like I said, I'm not absolutely against it and I'm not absolutely for it.
For it, yeah.
But when you do it in the next 10 years, and that's the question I always ask everybody, in the next 10 years, will I still feel the same way about what I did today?
Exactly. And that is the question, because you have
And
to
it is
project it.
I think it is the same with every part of our life.
Mm.
Like, say, for example, now these days we're going with the craze of the afro, the natural hair afro. I
Easy to my
love
natural.
it. I love it. I love the boldness that the are they Gen Z or Gen Alpha or whatever, or the millennial or whatever
Don't
they
ask
came up
me.
with. I have no idea what
Yeah.
they are. I love that boldness that they are coming up with. But
Hmm.
even with your afro, how high do you want it to be?
That's a good question. Yeah.
You know,
And if your child is under the age of 18 and you're doing it as a parent, how much control do you ensure
mm,
that you have an input? You must have an input. You can't say, oh, I'm letting her do it because her friends are doing it, or her. You need to, in your home is your castle. There must be rules and discipline principles that you have. So they should be able to say, oh no, Lola is my mother, she ain't gonna allow me to do it. They shouldn't say, oh, just if so long as I say to her, you've done it, she's gonna make you do it. No, because we are from different upbringing and we understand the principles of child rearing very differently, whether we like it or not. And I think it's very important that we explore those questions. We explore the idea that it is out there. I mean, for Pearson, you can always take him out. So
Yes, and you can
you
just
can
let
get,
them
but
outgrow
when,
and
yeah,
block.
yeah,
Yeah.
but when you actually doing, demographics of tattoos everywhere, it's a good question to ask. And a parent should be able to have a conversation, because even if my daughter's 30 years old and she's sitting somewhere and she does it, when I see her, what stops me asking? Because
Yeah,
sometimes
as a
they
parent.
haven't actually processed it until you ask them, you know, you ask them and then they
All
think
right,
it through.
people. We just said something, and I really held on to that. As a parent, you have the authority to say no,
Mm,
and then you always have to process with them. But we will be right back
yeah,
after this brief advert of Single Again. Take it away, admin.
yeah.
Life has a way of surprising us, and sometimes that means finding ourselves single again. But at Single Again with LFA and Babs, we believe in embracing change and finding beauty in every moment.
Join our community of strong individuals who are ready to take action and create a life.
Life has a way of surprising us, and sometimes that means finding ourselves single again. But at Single Again with LFA and Babs, we believe in embracing change and finding beauty in every moment.
Join our community of strong individuals who are ready to take action and create a life they love. Together, we'll navigate the twists and turns of being single again, finding beauty in every moment. So whether you're redefining your goals, finding new passions, or simply seeking connection, let's embark on this beautiful journey together.
Search for Single Again with LFA and Babs on your favorite podcast platform. It's time to embrace a single again status and live a life that's lively, encouraging, and beautiful.
Single again,
With LFA and Babs.
where your story
Begin.
Single. Welcome back to A Mother's Burden. I was going to say Single Again. Yeah, Single Again is where your story begins. It's a community where I tell you a safe space where you can share, you can be yourself. So please feel free, join us, and ask your questions. So, Bob, we were talking about and comparing it to the current wave of the afro, the natural hair. Can we compare tattooing and body piercing to the hairstyle? Because I remember I like watching the news a lot, listening to the news. There is this newscaster that usually he had his afro high and kind of I don't know, wavy, like using the
The brush
sponge,
thing, the sponge
you
thing.
know. And even as an as a person that likes the afro, the natural look, I felt kind of uncomfortable opening my, wanting to listen to news. And then I look at this guy with this very huge hair on the TV. It's kind of uncomfortable with me. Not that I don't like it, but I told myself maybe if he's doing the entertainment news, that could be different. But when you're doing the news, like you're sharing serious information, I don't want to be distorted with your hair. You know?
Oh, I think you said this before about the subconscious or
Yeah.
judging the preconceived ideas. I mean, obviously, you've clearly, by the time you've looked at that guy with his big afro, you've already judged him, and you've already dismissed him as a
Okay,
presenter that
now
is
you just throw me under
beautiful.
the bus.
Yes,
Bob.
I'm just doing that because you've completely done it, because he's wearing his natural. Do you know, he's wearing his natural. When we're comparing tattoos and piercing, it's actually an addition to what is natural. The afro is your natural crown. It's how you choose. We went through the series of the 50s, the 60s, and the different styles. But it is what is your own that you're choosing to either, it's just like the white person maybe cutting their hair short or leaving it long. It is still the same hair of theirs. So I think it's very important that in our perception of what we see or what is pleasant to my eyes, I am not being judgmental of the person. Yes, even as women, we have a fashion style. Everybody has different taste. So therefore, we are allowed to, okay, you want to wear that. That's not for me, but I'm not saying it doesn't suit you. And especially as a black person online, doing his job in his natural outfit. He's used a sponge to make it trendy. Of course, I don't mind it. There has been incidents in the previous before black people had the option of actually had a footing in mainstream media where people were actually told your afro is too big, so you can't be, you're
Yeah.
covering the whole screen. And I think that is racist comment. That is not right
Okay.
because,
I do
yeah,
not intend it to be that,
yeah,
Bob.
because that means, my natural outlook. Yeah, well, if it's too big, then get a wider screen for me so that people can
Okay.
see on the other side of me. If the news is presented to me in the way that I can hear and I can understand, that is where the person is there to do. And I think, yes, comparing it to our piercing and our tattooing is that is not an addition, but piercing is something else that you're adding to what is natural, and young people have said it's fashionable. I like the look of it, so that's why it's the same way that I've got my hair in sister locks. That's not how I was brought up. It was
Yeah.
natural and coarse. You've got your wig on because it's fashionable. So if my child or if your child comes to you and says, well, actually, I want to wear double piercing because I think it's a trend that I like. Okay.
Why
Why
do
is
you
it that
like
that
it?
makes you comfortable as a mother or as a father? What is it that you want me to do? Or explain to me why, if I have all these piercings, you think it's a negative impact on me. I'm not saying it's a good thing for young people to do it, but as a parent, we're saying as mothers' burdens that we have. My child is doing them. What am I going to say to them? Am I going to slap them, scream at them, or I'm actually going to say to, look, it's good. You think it's fashionable, but it's not, because when I look at you, this is what I'm seeing. And is that what you want other people to see? If I'm your mother who has a unconditional love for you, this is what I'm seeing. What do you think about the strange person who is actually giving you the added responsibility of look the way I want you to look? What are they going to see? That's a question I want you as a young person to answer. And if you can answer it, and then you can actually satisfy yourself that you're okay to go there. Well, it's very difficult out there. If you want to add a layer on it, remember that is what you're doing. So I think it's actually categorically telling my child, well, I don't agree with you because I don't want to do it. And having it on you, this is what I see, this is what I would think you may experience. Are you prepared for it?
Hmm.
And if you go out there and you think, oh, mom was right, you want to remove it, is it possible?
And
You know?
it's easy if like we both agree it's easy if it's body piercing. We
Mm,
can always remove it. But I think some times ago
tattoo,
I
yeah.
heard someone saying that And like you said earlier on, yeah, you can remove the tattoo, but it is more painful
Mm.
to remove the tattoo than it is to have it on.
Mhm.
So I guess what we're just saying is everything we do has consequences. It's just like we talked about the afro. I want to color my hair. I
Yeah.
want to wear my hair in a certain way. I want to bleach my skin. A lot of people do that, just because some people would do it because it's in trend. Some people would do it because I think I have enough money to, you know,
Yeah. Or I prefer to be light skinned than I am too dark. This,
yeah.
there's all this logic and explanations that one gives to oneself when you're in a position that you want to do something. I have this analogy of I'll go to the shop and then I'll see something. Oh, this piece of clothing is nice, you know, and I'm buying it because it's nice. But if I want to justify myself, I'll stand there and think I need it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in the same space of if you're saying you're going to do this, you're probably convincing yourself it's something that you must have to have this particular image. But we also know that for image, we go through fashion, we go through phases.
Mm.
So this image of maybe doing a lot of tattoo is a phase you're going through now. My question is in 5 years' time, when your tastes have changed, how would you be able
You
to
still
remove
want
it?
to.
I can take that cloth or that dress and give it to charity. Somebody else can wear it. Even though I would have thought, oh, I wasted that money. Oh, my credit card was burned and blah, blah, blah. But I can take it and give it away. If you do a tattoo now, because this is the space you're in, this is the fashion you want, in 5 years' time, if your tastes change, and as especially young ladies, our taste does change. It comes and goes every year. Every year, my daughter's you have to I was talking to my daughter's friend the other, and she's telling me how to actually line up my wardrobe so that I know the things that best fits me are the ones I must have. The rest must all go to charity because it's just filling the space.
Yeah.
So that is easily done. But if I had tattoos from head to toe and my taste has changed, will I be able to change that? That is the question that I want my child to understand, to think about, with the fundamental word in the Bible that says, "Don't put tattoos on your
Put
body."
tattoos on your body.
Read it
Well,
to understand why. I don't want to tell you why God said what He did. I
mm,
want you, if you're going to do it, take the responsibility, do
yeah,
some research, understand it before you do it. Your friend who wants to do it in a haze, just say, you want to do it, you do it. I am not there yet. I want to really know I want to do it because it is permanency. And if
yes.
it's permanency, what is it going to do to my body? When and then I have to change my clothing. I have to wear everything that will cover it all the
It'll
time
cover it up.
because
Yes.
that's not what I really want now. I wanted it 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Right now, I don't really want it. This guy that I really want to be close to, he's looking at me, he sees tattoos, he says, can't look at that the whole day. Or you're a young man, you suddenly change you see this young woman and they look at you and think, oh, he's got too many tattoos. Is he a bad boy?
Yeah.
So everything we do has a consequences, and I think
And
our
I
duty as
think,
mothers is hard. Yeah,
yeah, our duty as mothers, as parents is not, it's not a joke.
not at
And
all.
I think it all boils down to our values,
Yeah.
and we have a few minutes to go. I will be wrapping up with that. I want to say again, my co-host, Bab, thank you so much for
Hi.
always being there, for
And thank
everything
you
you're
for
doing,
being
for
with me.
Evelyn, for Vinny, for Harriet, for Daniela, for Chandi. I want to
Yeah.
say thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate it. Remember,
Thank
our
you,
job,
Jane.
like Bab said, as parents, is hard. It's
Yeah.
not easy. We
No.
are all flying this turbo jet as we are building it. So please remember, as a parent, you have the authority to say no.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to parent from an empathetic point of view. Like, wow,
Exactly. Mm.
what value does it add to you? Go and think about it. 5 years, 3 years down the line, would you still feel the same way? It is not the same thing as going to the store and buying a cloth. It's not the same thing
No.
as buying a shoe.
A
It's
shoe,
not the
no.
same thing as, oh, I just want to travel to London. I know I can always come back. It's not the same thing as, oh, I just want to go for a walk. I know I can change my mind if I don't want to go. These are permanent.
Yeah.
Person, yes, can close up after some time, but how do you want to be seen? How do you want to be presented? And where does your value lie? On that note,
Yes.
we are saying it was so nice having you on the show.
Yes, it
And
is.
please, if you're out there, if you want us to talk about anything on
Yeah.
parenting, please do not hesitate to send it into the chat or go to the YouTube, the Facebook page, Aaron's Place, or a Talk with Aduni, and just put it in there. We will talk about it. Until we meet you next month,
Yeah.
please remember we are caretakers. And we
That's
will
all
be,
we are. That's all we are. And I think even if you haven't been able to share a view, but as you sit there in the evening, something comes to you, put a comment when you go to
yeah,
watch it again. Make a comment. We'll take a note of it. And if we need to bring it back, we will. Because we're all working on it. To be honest,
yeah,
we don't have
yeah.
it. We haven't got it.
Yeah.
We're just exploring. And it's parenting has no manual. And that's one. So we don't beat ourselves as mothers. For me, I don't beat
Yep.
myself. I've made my big mistakes with my girls, but I don't beat myself because in the moment, that is what I wanted to do. But as we grow, as we mature, we need to bring our children along with us so they can see the difference in us, they can see the understanding we have, and have a communication. Don't cuss them and throw them out there. And you're fighting with them at home, and then you go and give them to pastor to talk to them. Pastor, senior, uncle, you have to talk to your child. It's your child first.
Yes.
Let's have that conversation.
Yes.
And it works.
So on that
Indeed.
note,
Yes.
we'd love to continue, but we have to leave. Thank you so much again.
Thank you,
And
everyone, for joining. Sorry, I didn't send the link early. So please watch it and give us your comment.
your comments,
Thank
yes.
you, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Lola, I can't leave this thing.